All right, so let's talk about Lord of the Rings, the
Sure.
Rings of Power. So Ricardo, if you don't mind, I want you to do the synopsis for this, right?
Sure.
So I will just do the preamble, right? So I think it was early this year that we got the first trailer for the Rings of Power, right? And for me, like I just always heard through the grapevine, like I don't follow everything LOTR, right? But I just heard through the grapevine that we were going to get a series. We were going to get a TV series eventually. I think Netflix was supposed to put it out at a point in time, but they kind of backed out. So
Sure.
when Amazon Studios come out and say, "Yo, we gotta put this out," that was a big deal, because I would say right now Amazon Studios is a strong contender in terms of most popular streaming platforms, right? You have your Netflixes, you have your HBO Maxes, you have your Hulus and whatnot, but Amazon Prime Amazon Video, I should say, yeah, have some bangers on the plate, man. They have some heat, you know what I mean? And this right here, this was one where I was like, all right, this could definitely put them at the top to it in terms of popularity, right?
Right.
And when you was just hearing about not just that it is related to probably one of the most beloved film franchises of all time, right? But because of the budget of each episode, actually, because
Right.
right now as it stands, this is like the most expensive TV show ever made. And that is a
Right. Right.
huge, 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 huge deal, right? Especially when it comes to streaming platforms like Netflix and stuff like that, right? And I think it's so funny that this came out right after Stranger Things season 4, because I did actually get around to watching it, and I actually love it actually, right? Because all the criticism was talking about the episodes being long. Like when I really look at it, I was like, yo, this is like this is movie level greatness that this
Right.
show evolved into, and that blew my mind. So with this show here, it's like, yeah, this is the competition right here. Like y'all got movie level greatness with Stranger Things. We bringing a movie to your home, literally, right? With the Rings of Power, man. So I was excited as hell to see this, right? Um, I thought it was going to be like this weekly thing. So all we would have talked about was just one episode. But I think like a few days ago, before the official premiere, they say, "Yo, we dropping 2 episodes."
Right.
So I like, word, okay, 2 episodes, great. So here we are, first 2 episodes of the Rings of Power. So yeah, Ricardo, take it away. What is the Rings of Power about? Like what they set it up here right now?
Right. Sure. So basically, it plays on the effectively the second age of the Silmarillion and the second age of the Lord of the Rings narrative. So it pulls from that narrative, where stuff is, literally. I don't know how much of time, but it's like thousands of years from what I understand, from before the events of the films as we know it, and even before the Hobbit. It's about in the past. It's about Harfoots and so and so. And what it basically follows is a young Galadriel. Galadriel in this is a Galadriel warrior princess, right? She is very powerful, but she's more an active, warrior in this world. And they basically do the setup of the conceit of the burning of the trees, how all these elves had to leave their land of, I think, Valinor, to come to Middle Earth. They start wars, and they basically hunt down and fight Morgoth. And then they talk about Morgoth having a side person who, coming up, and we're not sure what he's doing. And there's this person, we're not sure. It's clearly Sauron, and he has a sigil that marking his territory. And it's Galadriel hunting this dude down for years. And then Galadriel gets a chance to go back to her homeland and rejects it because her brother was killed by Sauron, and she can't accept that. She have to finish the task of basically avenging him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So they follow her story mainly. They follow a young Elrond, right, as well. You have to go through some issues that making sense of what's going on. And what's the name of the smith, Celebrimbor, who have to also build something, a forge to build something, and you have to deal with the second episode deals with this, where they have to talk to some dwarves because they don't have the amount of labor to make the thing happen as a project. And then you follow these hobbit-like creatures, but they're not really hobbits, called the Harfoot. They also have some shenanigans going on, but it's not clear how they exactly tie And then you deal with some other elves and a human who possibly intermingling, having to find a cursed, something involving cursed grass, because they find a cow who's sick. And that's how it is. So I don't know enough about Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion to like piece together this all together. I have to go back and read Silmarillion, which I haven't read.
I didn't even know anything about that story.
Right. I read that shit once. It is unfinished and very, very long, and I think it's not really meant to be read, to be honest. So I couldn't really like make sense of all of this. So I was like, okay, it's Second Age apparently, and that is how this going for what it is. And it's slow. I like it. It's well made. Acting is okay. A little stilted at times, but it's all right. But the pacing is pretty slow. At least the first episode.
It is, right? But I'll talk about the criticism of that piece.
Well, okay, so it had a big, here's the thing, it had a big culture war dumbness about it that I'm not fucking getting into. I have no goddamn patience for that bullshit. But basically a bunch of...
we have black elves and black dwarves and black hobbits.
Again.
Oh, no.
To borrow from Spider-Man in that Spider-Man movie where the blade's next to his neck, right? I am so tired. I'm goddamn sick of this shit. Enough.
Yeah.
But, so I'm not getting into that. I don't care. I just judging it for what it is. I just think here's what this feels like, right? It feels like you're watching them extended cuts of the Jackson films.
Oh yes, that's a good comparison
right.
there.
It feels like that, but they cut it up, and it's like more. Like imagine if you give Jackson just to do the whole fucking thing. That's what it is. That's covering everything, and the pacing is slow. Like people look. Here's the thing. I like Tolkien as much as the other guy, yeah, but like this material is never, like a lot of this material is never meant to be read as a story, you know. It's him just engaging a lot of philology and world building stuff, but like as an actual story, Lord of the Rings and even without the story, it's not really it's not there. It's not a story per se. It's more you just making sense of the world and building up stuff, but it's not meant to flow all that well because that was not his career. He's not originally not a writer, you know, the story stuff come after. He just was really interested in the world building and the language stuff. And everything else come after the fact. So to try to make sense of this, what it is a mess, right? And again, I don't want to get into the bullshit about the thing, but like, yeah, they kind of wait on a lot of these ideas in terms of what they wanted to make. And personally, if it was up to me, I would have liked to see First Age, right? I wanted to see Eruel Avatar and Malco and these kind of things, right? Malco is a character, right? If I remember correctly, right? Melko, right? And yeah, I want to see that stuff now, and you know the spider burning on the tree and all of that shit. I want to see that. The Second Age, I don't know. I don't really that engaged with the conceit for what it is, right? But yeah, the thing is that it's basically the destruction of Morgoth, right? Well, Morgoth is Melkor, so we don't get to see him at all, right? I want to see the rise of Melkor and Morgoth, and you know that working conceit. But they don't really do that. We get to see the formation of the ring, so that is the backstory that was in the films. Apparently, that is what's being set up. You know, we get to see the formation of the rings and Sauron corrupting that and made the one ring so he could set up, you know, the plan to basically make everybody a slave, so everybody who wear the rings would effectively become ring rates eventually. And then those who are smart enough to pull off the rings in the right time, that's going to be the finale of this apparently. I'm not sure. That is about it. It is very slow. That is my problem. I don't hate it, but it is incredibly slow. And it's like, again, you're watching them extended cuts. It's like watching them extended cuts. I like Lord of the Rings, but that bullshit is too much. I don't hate this. So for my first 2 episodes, the second episode is a lot better in pace, you know. But the first episode, boy, yeah, it was a thing. Another small problem. There's a small nitpick, but it's not a big deal. Everything feels a little too clean. In terms of the sets and stuff, I felt stuff should feel a little more dirty. Set design they could just dirty up them sets a little bit. Like that's always feel a little bit to me. I don't know if it's because of the digital camera work and it's not film, so that's how it might look like that to me. But that's about it. Everything else, but again, it's fine. I like the acting; it looking good. The special effects looking good. You know, these sweeping shots of I'm not sure where they're shooting this time. I think it's New Zealand. I would like to think that. All these great sweeping shots and establishing shots, and I have this great sequence at the end of the second episode where the camera keep bobbing in and out of the water, showing something happening in the background. I'm like, oh, that's pretty badass.
Yeah, I love that. Very very Saving Private Ryan-esque.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, I love all of this. But boy, I don't want to tell him pick up the pacing because it's fucking Lord of the Rings now. Like, by its very definition, it have the worst, slowest pacing ever. And I think what happens is because I tried to get myself hyped up over J.R.R. Martin's universe, and that pacing so much better than first two episodes of House of Dragon. That is the comparison with I'm making. That's like my House of Dragon pace so much better than this. That is my problem. So that's about it. It's good. It's fine. And other episodes I expect him to improve. But boy, that first episode was slow, boy. That's all I feel about it.
Yeah. So to talk about that piece, right? So little slight confession here, right? I have not started watching House of Dragon as yet, right?
Right.
I am, however, waiting for the midpoint because while Rings of Power is 8 episodes, House of Dragon is 10, right? So right. I will wait until the midpoint and then I'll just take in all 5 and then you can expect a review of the first half of the show. As the least I could do, right? But I know that there's going to be a lot of comparisons to that show when it comes to the Rings of Power, which is really unfortunate. Right. And
well, I mean, it's a natural thing because that's the whole point. That's the whole thing because to me the only difference between the two worlds, in terms of the differences of the worlds, in terms of the central conceit, is that one has, to me, very clear moral framework, and the other one is all about gray moral framework. That's the difference. One is more right. Very clear good and evil conceits. This one is not that. That's it.
Yeah. You're right.
Martin, I think Martin is a great writer, and he's a different. He's a writer. He's not like what Tolkien was back in the days of being just a world builder.
A world builder. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. In the case of Martin, the story seems to be what matters. Right. Lord of the Rings, I never got the sense that the story is what matters. Right. It's just a world and life going on, and then the forces of good and evil going back and forth. Some stories matter. Frodo, Bilbo, Galadriel, Gandalf, the big names, right? But everything else is like, no, it's just evil, and then you're sorting out evil. Very, very clear conceits of good and evil, and you can get into a whole conceit about anti-industrialism and blah, 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 and get into all of that, right? That is how I feel about it. So that's why House of Dragon works so much better. And I think because I kind of rooted for House of Dragon, because I still kind of mad at fucking D&D and the bullshit now. So I want the franchise to come back and HBO to like move past, the really unfortunate finales of Game of Thrones now. So,
yeah, which I think they will with this show.
Yeah. Because
they will do that with House of Dragon.
I've been enjoying the first couple of episodes with House of Dragon. I really enjoyed it actually, for what it was. Right. But yeah, so that's how I feel about it. But yeah, this show, as I said, it's not bad at no point. Because I actually really like the guy who they got for Elrond, and he's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
But back to the whole pacing thing, right? So yes, I do agree with you. First episode is slow, right? And for me, right, how I saw it, it's like, all right, we have to bring you back into the world of Middle Earth, so we have to remind you of this and that and third and whatnot, right? But if you remember the first movie, right, the very first movie that we got, Fellowship of the Ring, right, where we knew who the main players were, the main races were. That's humans, elves and dwarves and hobbits afterwards, right? It's in the second episode that you saw dwarves. Then I thought that was like pretty like weird. Now. I get what they're trying to do in terms of setting up the story and whatnot, right? So for me, the pace didn't take me out of the show, but I was just still kind of watching, like, all right, they're taking their time with it, okay. But you're right, Ricardo. It does feel like we are watching the extended version of the premiere. Yeah, because if you look at it, like if you were to look at this 2-episode release here, yeah, it does feel like an extended version of the premiere. Like like there's numerous moments they could take out, but like a director's cut, you could tell that the person behind the scenes like, no, that's supposed to add to this. It's supposed to explain that. You know what I mean? Which is fine, but you have other episodes where you could do that too, right? So for me, and I guess it's the same for other people, right? It's just that we just wanted a gist of what the story is going to be about, right? Instead of us kind of just watching things play out and then near the end it's like, oh, this is what's going to happen, or this is what could happen, and you have to watch the next episode for it to be justified. That's really how it is, right? That being said, though, I did notice some people kind of, this is boring and this is doing nothing for me. But when you talk about House of Dragons, like, yeah, I love it, all this stuff. So it's like, it's like easy for someone who really enjoying House of Dragon to look at Lord of the Rings and just think, oh, it's just boring because it's just moving slow. Like, I think it's unfair for you to call it boring if you just find poorly paced. If it's poorly paced, fine, right? But there are things that are happening in the show, though, in my opinion. So that's why when people say it boring, like, wait, really? Like, you see that like if nothing happening, though.
Right.
Shit happening, It's just taking its sweet time. Like, well, too much there. Honestly, I really can't say what could be removed because I understand. I get what the show is getting at here with this first 2 episodes is really trying to develop characters and motivations and world building and all that kind of stuff, right? But I am not familiar with this stretch of the Lord of the Rings books or stories, so I can't say if it's stretching things out too long, or if it's exactly how the books were, or if it's pointless to explain character A and character B, or why we have Galadriel. I don't know. I just watching this and just seeing how the story is playing out. And I am actually liking how the story is developing, right? With Galadriel, now I know some people have issues with her being this warrior princess. I don't mind it at the moment.
I don't have a problem with this either.
Yeah, but there is like one moment though. Yeah, exactly. It's before she become the wise, old, so to speak, Galadriel that we see in the first trilogy, right? The first Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? Now, I will say the battle sequence involving her and the ice troll that just kind of plays out way too quickly. Like it just kind of blink and it just ends. I didn't mind it at first, but then when I think about it, I was like, but that kind of end real quick though. Like compared to like what we saw in the first movie with the whole cave troll moment and how long
that's took, what it was like. Yeah, that's why I get the work in parallel. Because they clearly catering to the crowd, that crowd who was like, look, it's my generation. That this was our big
Star Wars.
Right, our big moment.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah, our big conceit of big operatic film movies that look, you can't knock them films Jackson and them do the thing, the Royal do the thing. So, they had to remind you of that somewhat, and it felt beat-wise, it felt like that. Like It was like, okay, I get what they're trying to go for with that scene. I'm like, all right, fine.
Yeah, and I also like the whole development of this guy who suddenly fall from the sky. That's all you'll see. Is he Sauron or not? Like I like how they build it up with the hobbits themselves, right? Or the half-foots or whatever you call them, right?
Yeah.
The half feet or whatever, right?
The half-foots,
yeah. I do like how the story so far is structured almost like it is like Game of Thrones, but I don't want to like erroneously point and say, oh, it's just like it's copying Game of Thrones. What we mean is like how it's not like it's a multi-character story, right? So it's not about Galadriel, it's not about Elrond, but it's about these different individuals and how they all relate to the Rings of Power and their formation, and then of course the rise of Sauron. That's really what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
And actually digging where the story is going so far, like Galadriel, for example, her refusing to go into the Undying Lands, I believe it was, which made for like a great moment.
Back to the homeland, Valinor, I want to say Valinor. It's slipping my mind.
It's there. Okay, that was
it's their homeland. They go back home. They get to go back home.
Oh, okay. No, I always thought, like, I always kind of envision, the whole Undying Lands place that you go, technically the Tolkien's version of heaven. I thought that was where they were going.
It's not heaven, but it's the same. It like a kind of halfway heaven point. It's like a paradise. It's way better than Middle Earth. Like Middle Earth is real trash.
It's
but
trash.
it's just the gate is the gated community, right?
You're right.
Right. So you get to be it's that way they go, but it's not heaven as far as I understand it.
Fine.
So you want to go back there, right? Exactly.
Yeah, and it made for a great moment, both visually and emotionally as well, too, right?
Right.
So yeah, there's that also, but like in episode 2, I really dug the dwarves, like the moments with the dwarves, because I always was a fan of the dwarf characters, because they're the underdogs, they're the ones who being looked down by humans and elves, right? So I just like how it's how brave they are, and just like I don't really care about none of it, how bold they are too, right? So I just love those moments involving Elrond pretty much going back and going back to actually, what's the name of the place that what is the name of the dwarf kingdom?
Khazad-dûm, I wanna say.
Casa Doom,
Casa Doom,
right,
right?
right, right.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
it was
Look, I,
cool
I, I,
seeing.
off the top of my head, I can't remember this bullshit. It's just
Oh, okay.
pure memory. When I
I
back
remember
when I,
from the movies. Yeah,
well, the movies, but like it's just pure memory of the material back when I was real, like much younger. That is what I used to give a shit about this, eh? But
right, right,
that's
right.
literally over 20 years ago. So like, whatever.
Okay, yeah. So you actually see how Casa Doom used to look like, and
Right,
not
right,
the graveyard that you saw in the Fellowship of the Ring. So like,
right,
okay,
right,
okay,
right.
that's not real cool. I just love those moments though, where Elrond was there, and him pretty much being involved in the creation of the rings is pretty interesting as well too. But yeah, at the end of the day, it really does feel like these two episodes do feel like an extended version of the premiere itself, right?
Right.
Like maybe if it came out on Blu-ray, whatnot. Yeah, this would imagine that like extended versions of the actual episodes that drop. Imagine that shit, right? But that would have been if somebody like Peter Jackson was involved, right? But I would say that the people behind the scenes now, they got J.R.R. Boyega to
Okay.
direct both episodes. I thought he actually did a great. Sorry, Biona. Oops. Yeah, to direct these episodes. I thought that he did a great job with this, right? What I will say though is that I love the fact that they're not trying to replicate Peter Jackson's style and the
Right.
way how he does his stuff, right?
It
But
feeling like they're doing it. Yeah.
there are a few moments, like especially in the second episode, where they add a few scares. That's all I'll say. Where
Right.
it does feel very Peter Jackson. If you remember Peter Jackson's filmography, yeah, he kind of started off on the horror scene, the schlocky horror scene, right? So
Right.
it kind of makes sense, like in his original trilogies now, why there would be this sort of element of horror ever so often. But like in the second one, it's like, yeah, we have those little moments where it's like, yeah, we just kind of do this because Peter Jackson worship. It kind of felt a little bit like Peter Jackson
It,
worship there,
it
but
feeling
good
it,
worship, huh?
yeah, no, you're right. It is feeling like their own style. Like even though with this type of material, aesthetically it can stray away too far from what Jackson and them did, because like guys were gonna have to look like, sorry to say it, like because the only big difference is the bullshit thing that all the idiots on the internet complaining about, right? That's about it, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, and if I could just say one thing about it, though, just one thing about it, right? If y'all have an issue with that, then just stick with House of Dragon, or
you know,
just avoid watching TV in general. Like if
exactly, but you go to House of
2022
the Dragon.
y'all have an issue with fantasy shows,
Yeah,
even
God,
this
I
one
get.
that
I'm
just
so
have
sick
the
of this shit.
word Lord of the Rings in it, having black actors in it, then you
Yeah,
just really shouldn't be watching TV in general. You
yeah.
should
Like
just
I get,
go back in the cave and just stay there
I
until
get.
Judgment Day, right?
As I
That's
say,
all I
yeah,
had to say.
yeah. As I say, I am so tired because one of these dumb arguments that you really shouldn't be engaging in, and it will just drain you.
Yeah.
So I have
Believe me,
no
when you see them in this show, it's like nobody cares. It's just
nobody
all right,
fucking
they
cares.
there. Like, okay, move on now. Like,
Yeah,
oh, but no, elves are supposed to be white. Stop it.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
stop it, right?
yeah.
But on to the good, right? Well, just to get this out of the way as well too. The music I thought was just fantastic though.
Yeah.
Howard Shaw is, he does come true, but he does the theme song for this. I thought that the theme music was great though actually. But my boy Bear McCreary come true, man,
Come back,
and like
right? Yeah,
yeah, he is his music for this boy. Whew, it rivals what Howard Shaw did for the Rings movies though. I must say though, it was stirring, it was emotionally driven, it just got your blood pumping. It just like the moment it kicks in, it just puts you back into this world, man, and it was great, right? Also, yes, like everybody will say about this show, this is a gorgeous
yeah. It really
fucking
looked
show.
good. It really looked good.
I make sure to watch this, like I plug a my little HDMI cable to my monitor and watch that way. And I was just like loving every shot of this too. Like, yeah, this is a desktop wallpaper movie.
Yeah,
Sorry,
as I
series,
say, yeah, as I say,
but
the only
it
thing,
lives up to it
yeah,
though. Like, my
as I say,
God.
the only thing is that it's looking a little too clean at times. That's more the issue. Like stuff that's looking at some of the sets now. It's looking a little
Yeah,
too clean.
I could understand.
Right,
I could understand. Yeah, but
right.
like
Especially,
the stuff
especially with like,
involved.
especially involving like the humans and the half-foots. They should look a little grimier. But like,
Agreed.
it's fine.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
whatever,
But like
whatever. It's
stuff with the
again,
dwarves and
the
the
nittiest
elves
of
and yeah,
things.
especially the elves though. Whew,
Right.
but just like the previous trilogies, boy, the just the locations that they got and the set design and all that, boy. yeah, you could tell they pump a lot of money into it though, and it shows. Yeah, so for me, that's just getting it out of the way though. This will go down as one of the most like gorgeous looking shows of 2022, bar none, right? And I know that quality is going to be maintained throughout the rest of the season. But you could say what you want about the pacing and the story, and you may not care for a character too, right? But you can't deny how great the show looks. Right, this is so right off the bat though. Amazon Studios just like pretty much saying, yo, yeah, you're not fucking with us when it comes to these visuals here, but like we really do stuff, right? Now I don't know how it will turn out at the end of the day. Like I'm not talking about box office receipts or whatever, but I do hope that somehow the money is made back somehow. Like I don't know how what the process is. I don't know, but because again, and not just because it's a different medium compared to like movies, right? But in terms of just like the budget for each episode, though, so they're not just gonna throw money on the screen and not expect to get anything back, right? Because that gonna make any sense. So I don't know. It can't be can't just be off a home media or streams or whatnot. I don't know, but yeah, it's wow, like it really lives up to the franchise. That's really the best compliment I could give. It really lives up to the franchise itself, because this is movie level quality what you get to with your visuals here, right? But at the end of the day, I was really impressed with these first two episodes. Pacing aside, I was really impressed with these first two episodes. I was like intrigued with the side stories, the what's going on and whatnot. Is he not Sauron? You know what I mean? All this big threat and all that kind of stuff. I actually do appreciate the fact that it takes its time, but admittedly, it takes a little too much time taking its time. That's really the issue. But I do think that it will pick up in the next 6 episodes, because I mean, if they just kind of stretch the story out far too long, and then at the 8 episodes, like, all right, but you could tell an episode like 5 episodes into the 8, yeah, then we would have a problem here, man. But yeah, I mean, right off the gate, I mean, this is shaping up to be a very, very impressive show, and I will say, including a strong competition. I would say this show makes for strong competition with House of Dragon. Again, I haven't seen House of Dragon yet. Like I know story-wise and character-wise and content-wise, House of Dragon clearly is going to be more superior, right? But in this case is like, no, well, in this case, we're taking you back to that world that you've loved ever since you saw Fellowship for the Ring. We bring this back to your home, and we're going to tell this brand new story. Which so far has me engaged, and I just can't wait to see what we get next year. So not perfect. It's not perfect in terms of the pacing and whatnot, but in terms of just ambitiousness and just saying, yo, we just want to shine, just more or less stunt on your other streaming platforms. Yeah, I mean, Amazon Studios, I would say, clearly have a hit in their hands with this show here. Just hope that it just does not end. This season does not end on a disappointing note. So that's what I have to say. And any final thoughts on these first 2 episodes?
No, yeah, I thoroughly dug this what it is. Again, just a little on the slow end of things, but I really felt they could have do more. With the just cutting stuff together a little better. It didn't need to be as long as it was. But whatever. Look, it have people who like that. I know into that. I have to be roped into the story, and because it the only character that I'm kind of familiar with is really Galadriel and Elrond. That's it. But following for it is, and I expect it to be solid.
Yeah, so before we move on, Amazon Studios, y'all have a hit on their hands here. I know all they put in real effort into this show, but I just don't want by the season end that we walk out of it like, yo, this was kind of trash, or with all that money all spent, though, the story was kind of shit. I just hope that's not what happens here with this show. I kind of want to put this up there as amongst the best TV shows I've seen this year. I want to put it on my list, though. I want to put it on my list, right? But it's 2 episodes thus far, so hopefully by the end, we will have a proper review, and hopefully it will be in my list. Like I see for you, Ricardo, but I want it to be there, man. I want this show to be great, you know what I mean? So yeah, we're off to a good start, and I believe that it will get better as the episodes go by.
Nice, yeah.